Hello everyone, welcome to the another episode of TACOS where we'll be talking about community and open source. This talks about honoring the people for their contributions to building and nurturing the communities for their support. And we'll talk about the open source technology, cybersecurity for the better and the safer world. In this episode, we are going to have Mr. Prathamesh Chavan, who is working as a technical product manager at Red Hat, and he is an engineer graduate from the Pune University. He has been managing open source community for a long time. Pratham is a public speaker and loves talk about the open source community and the development. He is a passionate project manager, a trainer, and a strategist. Apart from all these activities, he is a Mozilla Reps mentor in the Mozilla Reps program for more than 7 years. Also, he serves as a Mozilla Reps Council for, I think, as a twice, and he's one of the Mozilla Festival wrangler. He's one of the awesome Mozilla that I ever met. Also, I would say that I started my journey as a Mozilla volunteer with him when I took my first flight, when I was selected as a volunteer for the Maker Fest 2016. Prathamesh is always been very energetic, and that's what makes him a very different. Welcome, Prathamesh. Kasa काय bro?
All good, all good. I'm very excited for this podcast, Mehul. It's fun to be here.
कसे आहे पुण्यात सगळे?
It's all good. The weather is good. It's a bit raining outside. It's pleasant, I would say.
Okay. Okay, for those, कसं काय means how are you when people from Maharashtra met, this is how they talk. Okay, so we have been talking about everyone knows like how much you're passionate about the open source community, and whenever you talk to anyone, there's so much enthusiasm, or you can say the energy it's been flowing to everyone around you. But wanted to know how did you get started and what makes you to jump and to explore the open source community. So what's your entry point? What's your story?
Okay, it's very interesting. So I've been fascinated by open source, I would say, since a long time. It's just that I was not sure how to kickstart the open source contribution. So back in my graduation days, when I was studying engineering as a graduate. It was then that one of my seniors, his name is Aman. He was very much passionate about bringing knowledge to your doorstep. When I say bringing knowledge to your doorstep, it's more about learn and let others learn from what you learn. It's something that he was or he is a firm believer of, and that is when he got to know about Mozilla clubs through some connections, and he was very instrumental in kind of getting Mozilla as a club in our campus, in our community, as in the college community. And this is how I came to know about Mozilla and open source in general. So because of that club, there could be a lot of guest lectures that could happen, wherein people across people from open source contributing across a lot of domains, they would come and talk more about what they are doing in open source and what others should do if they want to do what they are doing. And so this is how I kind of got into open source contributions, I would say, through the Mozilla clubs. Precisely, it was 2013 that I actually started with my open source journey.
Okay. So basically, when anyone start, they maybe start by contributing to or by joining any particular program or a project. So what is your first program or a project that you guys started, and then you, okay, this is found very interesting, and then you started sharing with the people because that is how the community works, right?
Yes. So, to be very honest, when I actually learned about open source, the first thing that would come to my mind was Wikipedia, because obviously, if you are in college and if you want to know more about any program, happenings, project, product, whatever, you generally search on Wikipedia, right? And that this is how most of the knowledge, which is easily accessible to you, gets into your hand in like milliseconds, because you're just browsing on Wikipedia, right? So I knew about Wikipedia, and through Firefox, I would browse a lot of articles. I think I could browse on the internet through Firefox, because by default, I was using Firefox as my browser. So when using the browser, I could feel that there were some things that were, they were associated with some connections in the complex mechanism, and at times there could be a lot of bugs that I would face as a user. So when I started my open source journey, I started as a tester. When I say tester, I used to run Firefox nightly on my laptop, and I would just try to understand what is the new feature or functionality that Mozilla has got into the latest version of Firefox. And so I started using Firefox nightly. I started reporting bugs that I would see as a user. So to be very honest, it's more about whenever you are using something as a product or as a software, you sometimes land into troubles, and this is how you actually start reporting your troubles. So sometimes it's not just you that is getting into the troubles, others might also be facing the same issues that you are facing. And so this is how you are actually telling the company that is shipping that product or software that there is something wrong with your product. So in open source, I would say that testing a product that you are using every day is the first step, or was the first step for me when it came to open source contributions.
Right. Even when I started, I think I had a similar story because there was something called Web Compat at that time, and you actually helping the company to know about the actual behavior, or right, because when you browse something, you know that what you after loading, what you're gonna get as a result. But
Yes.
if that is not happening, which means as unexpected behavior, and that is what you reporting to them to help the developers or their product team, or all the other stakeholders in the company to fix that and make the better, better user, you can say, accessibility for everyone.
Yes.
But apart from that, this is kind of a technical, but I think there are so many other areas where people also contribute in the non-technical ways as well.
Yes, definitely. I
and
mean,
and
for sure.
and you are already also advocating for that because you are part of the localization. So could you please tell more about it, like how also you are contributing in the non-technical perspective as well?
Okay, pretty easy. So as I said, I started my open source journey by reporting bugs. Bugzilla was the actual I would say platform that most of the open source communities were using or still are using. At least at Red Hat, we use Bugzilla to some extent, and in
Mhm.
Mozilla, even I believe they are still using Bugzilla. So whenever you're reporting bug, now the next thing that comes to your mind is, okay, is this really a bug? So what you do is you start searching for articles for the issues that you're facing. For example, Firefox used to crash like crazy. I would say a couple of years ago, not today. I think today Firefox is very stable.
Very
Uh,
stable.
yes. So at that time, what I used to do was I used to browse through a lot of articles, the issue that I could face. For example, there were some applications that were not running on Firefox, but they were running on other browsers, right? So I started to read articles, and that is where I understand. Okay, I can also write articles from the issues that I could face, right? So this is like a pretty non-technical activity. What you do is you just try to reproduce the steps you did to actually troubleshoot some issue, and you create an article, write it there, and so that other users who might face those issues could also benefit from it. And the best part about writing these articles is you can write those articles in any language, not just in English. But let's say my mother tongue is Marathi, so I would write a couple of articles in Marathi. I can also understand and speak English, so I could also write in Hindi. I could also write in Hindi and English. I mean, as I said, we can talk and speak English, right? Because that's the language of the internet. So you can also write articles in English. Sometimes there are articles that were written in English. You can also try to localize it in your regional language. For example, I would translate or I would localize a couple of articles from English to Marathi, English to Hindi. So this is, I would say, it's not so technical. You just need to understand what exactly has been written in that article in, let's say, in English, and you can translate or you can localize it in Marathi. So I think these are a couple of non-technical things. I believe anyone can do it, right? So
Yeah, of course. And in that sense, actually, that's something I recall that when you said कि Firefox was crashing heavily in
yeah.
the earlier days, and what I used to recall when I was working with company, so any like whenever Firefox crashes, and you know that developer loves Firefox,
Yes.
developer loves Firefox. So whenever they crashing, तो company used to come call me, मेहुल ये Firefox crash हो जा रहा है तो बता दो बता दो उनको. So, but the best part is because of this community and all stuff, we got the identity when even if they believe that this guy is a contributor that has that much power, they can contact to the
Exactly.
team and they can make this bug or whatever you can say to that, take it to their attention.
Yes.
So this is the power of contributor. What do you want to say on that? I'm sure you also got familiar with such kind of scenarios.
Yeah. So it's not just, I would say, in open source. or let's say in your day-to-day life that people actually get back to you. So you wear the Firefox t-shirt all the time, so you are roaming, and couple of times what has happened is I'm sitting in a cafe with the Firefox t-shirt on. I mean, I'm wearing a Firefox t-shirt, and some random person, he or she, walks to me and says, "Hey, do you work at Firefox?" So the first instinct is, I don't work at Firefox. I mean, I don't work at Mozilla, but I basically I'm a volunteer, and people, they are very much confused when I say that I'm a volunteer at Mozilla, right? So they come to me and say, okay, you know what, Prathamesh, or they ask me for my name. I tell my name is Prathamesh. So they start talking. You know what, Prathamesh, I am sorry to bother you, but do you feel Firefox is really the browser that everyone needs to use it? And then you start saying that, no, yeah, it's the best one. Why? Because I've made it, I've contributed in making it. So random people, they come to you, and if you're wearing a swag that has a Firefox logo on it or a Mozilla logo on it, people come to you and they actually feel that you're the tech support guy. And not just in cafes or outdoors, even when I was a technical support engineer at Red Hat, and if I would see that some customer of Red Hat was using Firefox and was facing some issue on Firefox, they would eventually feel that it's a issue with Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So even I used to see that Firefox cases opened with Red Hat. Why? Because people thought that it's Red Hat Enterprise Linux that is making Firefox crash. As in, Firefox is crashing because of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and it used to be a fun part just to troubleshoot those issues. Even though if that kind of issue was outside of my domain expertise, or something that I don't usually solve every day, right? So it's just fun. I mean, to be very honest, in terms of real life or professional life, people actually call you Mozi because you have been associated with Mozilla or Firefox since a long time. So it's great,
Yeah,
right?
and it is sometimes get weird when you are a Guju and instead of Mozilla, they say Mozilla.
Yeah. Yeah, people call me Mozi, right? I mean, some people call me Mozi, some people call me Mozilla. I've seen my friends saving my contact number as Mozilla. So
Likewise, I still I still remember when I attended one Google event, and when I entered, I never attended at that time, like 2 3 years
okay.
back. First time when I attended, people says that Mozilla, I am Mozilla. So I figured the but the best part was I feel that okay, people knows that by their name,
Yes.
right?
Yes, that's
I
the identity which you eventually get, right? So that's fun.
And that was a one time also, but that was a weird. I would not share, but yeah, then I later I actually took the action and changed it. That one of the communities I used to run. So of course your social account. So they put the password on my name like Mozilla Mehul. Dude, change this password. When I asked, can you
Yes,
share
sir.
the password? But it feels great that you got that identity before even running in a hand. So that also help you in your career as well.
Yes,
So
definitely.
that's
I would definitely say that. Yes.
yeah, that's what I want to say that you've been into so many areas. You are into the leadership where you are representing Mozilla in the Mozilla Reps program. You also mentoring the reps in the program. You are also a wrangler in the Mozilla Fest, which is totally different as well. We're running our own space where you helping people to come up with the ideas and present and come up with the solution that can help for the better or the safer world. So how do you sync up with, because ultimately people nowadays very found trouble to shift into the one to another role, but I would say that there is something common in all these roles. So what it should be which makes you in the sync?
See, in open source, we say that we work not for ourselves, we work for everyone as in community. And when we talk community, as in if we are thinking about community, the first thing that comes to your mind is people, right? So whatever you're doing, ultimately, it's going to help a lot of people around you. Be it, fixing a bug, reporting a bug, making a user more dependent on the features that he or she might interest or find it simple to use. So everything revolves around people. So as I said, as you said that I've been into community, right from city level to Mozilla Reps, being a Mozilla Reps mentor, being a wrangler at Mozilla Festival. The most common thing in all these roles is people. So whatever I've done so far, I've always seen to it that my actions ultimately help someone else, because that's the gist of open source, right? You are helping yourself as well as the others around you. And so I
Totally.
feel everything revolves around people, to be very honest.
Yeah, and I think that's lead into the definition of passionate, because if you are
Exactly.
what you're doing, I think that ultimately spread that energy, around the people. So that is the one of the best part. But I've seen that whenever I see you talk to any people and people come, you are very humble and very much approachable, and you're super excited whenever when you're speaking with anyone. So never, no one feels that you are tired, though you coming, travel from a long journey, and you representing or you're presenting some topics, anything. So where did energy comes from, man? So what is secret behind it? Don't tell me Pune missile, because I'm not going to agree on that.
Oh, okay. I mean, I sometimes wonder what is the reason, but I think it's kind of genetic, right? So if you have met my father, you have met my mother,
Yeah, of
you
course.
feel that they're always energetic. I mean, I've never seen my parents, let's say, if they are back from their office in the evening, I've never seen them tired. They're always excited for something new, right? So I think it's more genetic, but it's like the feeling that you have in you that you are making a difference every time
Totally.
you're doing something. Let's say even if you are writing an article, helping someone fix their issues, or just have a conversation which could be very casual. uh, I mean, you're just trying to understand the person, try to help as much as you can from your perspective. So I feel that if you are making a change, and if you are very much positive about it, then I feel the energy is driven naturally. So yeah, I mean, that is something like people, as I said, whatever I do, I make sure that it helps others as well. So I mean, that hunger to help, as well as the positiveness that you are actually making an impact around you, that's something that it's like the motivation for me. And I feel like I do it all the time, I will do it all the time, and I won't stop it. So yeah.
I think that is the best part, and that is something we have a mutual feeling about it.
Exactly,
And
right.
And one more thing, I think by contributing or by talking or this we talking about people and helping each other, I think that also help us a lot into our professional career as well,
Yes.
right? And I know you are working as the one of the community driven company, Red Hat, which is one of my dream company as well. And fortunately, I got a chance to visit that headquarter. So I just wanted to know how this your all contribution and everything can help you to lend it or better run into this program, because I've seen that you started as a technical support engineer, now you are a project manager in the program. It's pretty much hard for anyone to just transit into the different roles, right? So do you think by this is the community contribution, or by by helping people, or being overall committee also help to boost your career as well?
Yeah, interesting question, Mehul. Okay, so let me try to solve. I mean, answer one by one. So when I was a Mozilian, I mean, I'm talking a lot about Mozilla. I'm very sorry for that. Uh, but when I was like working as a volunteer for Mozilla, I met a lot of people. When I say a lot of people in Pune specifically, there were a lot of leaders who were driving Mozilla community in Pune. Uh, Priyanka, Sayak, Ankit, Devanshi. So these were like the role models for me, right? Because they are natural leaders, and at that time they were helping spread the word of open source across the universities in Pune. So I feel like my natural urge to start contributing to open source, it came from these people. As in, I saw them contributing to open source, spreading that passion around. So I feel like these, legends, I would say, they have kind of helped me to grow as a passionate open source contributor. And what happened is, with great power comes great responsibilities, I say, right? But because of meeting them, you always get a chance to meet a lot of people. As in, I just named a couple of them, right? I met Umesh, I met Chandrakant ji, Aniket, Faisal ji, all these people, right? Shai ji. So I met a lot of people across my Mozilla journey. And somewhere down the line, they were always there for me whenever I needed them, in terms of understanding how to contribute, how to actually make your contribution sensible. A lot of times you might even meet a lot of other community members if you're presenting Mozilla or any open source community on multiple forums, right? So you tend to meet a lot of people, and this kind of connection, it helps you to get the opportunities, I would say. Because when I was just fresh out of my graduation, I was looking for jobs. So in campus placement, I had offers from Accenture and Cognizant. So there were a couple of things that were very much with me when I graduated. But there was a position that was open at Red Hat, and Sayak and Priyanka came to know about it. They kind of sent me a text message saying, "Hey Prathamesh, you know what, there is an internship opportunity at Red Hat in support, and since you have been a support volunteer for Mozilla, why don't you try for that position?" Right? So because of this connection that you eventually build in open source communities or in communities in general way, there are people who know you, they know your strengths and weaknesses better, so that if they see something as an opportunity, they obviously kind of tend to spread that word. So I feel like because of these connections, I landed up in Red Hat. I kind of qualified for the interview. I made sure that whatever I was able to convey, I could convey. I got selected. So in Red Hat, this was the again, as you said, Red Hat is many people's dream. My dream company was Red Hat right from the start, right? Because Red Hat is the driving force in open source world. So it was always something that I looked forward to be a Red Hatter and to grow. And in open source communities, a couple of questions ago, you said, right, that you are a Mozilla mentor, you were a part of Mozilla Reps Council. So working in council, I realized that my true potential as as a contributor or as an associate, it lies in managing projects. So I always felt that I am better at managing projects, people, programs, because of my contributions or my experience with the community. And ultimately, it was always a goal. When I say individual development plan, my goal was to get into project management. So I realized that my goal or my passion, my true potential lies in project management because of the experience that I had because of the Mozilla community. So
Right.
that's how I would say I kind of made a transition into Red Hat and from support engineer to project manager as I am today. So yeah.
Okay, I couldn't agree more because I had the similar story because I think when I joined Zimbra, right, as a support manager over there, but at that time I realized because I at that time I have a two offer in my hand, but I think I joined Zimbra because of the open source. Because because at that time I decided like I contributing to open source community. Now I want to work for the company who was believing in the open source, right?
Yeah.
I choose that option and that helped me a lot in my career. I still remember when I got interviewed, I think they didn't ask me any of single technical question because at that time I wasn't aware about Zimbra at all. I didn't know any single symbol Zimbra command. All they were talking about my story, and I still remember because Zimbra I got interviewed two times. First time when I got interviewed, I had a lack of experience, so that I
Okay.
was not selected. Second time after 2 years, and the same day when I attended the science day in Pune, like we used to go there, right? So when I was returning to home and I got a call, and they said, okay, there is an opening. At that time, Zimbra got acquired by some other company, so
Okay.
I was not sure that Zimbra only. But when the manager called me for an interview, when I talked that hey, I'm Mehul Patel, he said, wait. He checked. I don't know. He took 5 minutes and checked. Are you a Mozilla volunteer? I said yes. How do you know? I took your interview 2 years back and you said about Mozilla and a lot of things. So he remembered that, and because of that, I landed to the job. And still remember when you join any company, people introduce you, right?
Yes.
Hey, your teammate. He also manager also tells that what their quality, what's the strength. When then they introduced me, they said he is the guy who passionate about open source, and that's it. I was so felt so good. Now I want to contribute more, and that's the reason I decided. As you said, ki when you were in Reps Council or other responsibility, you got to know that you are good at the management side. You are good at the managing people, project. You can handle those kind of things. I got to know I'm very good with community, so I decided that I wanted to be in the community kind of management role. And I would say that now I landed to that kind of area where I actually working with the company who believe that okay, managing a community also can be a full time job. And still in India, it's not been that much active, but good to know that and great to see that people nowadays hiring for specifically for the community management role.
Exactly.
And 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 best thing that the kind of people that help you in this journey, I can pick up so many names from them who also helped me a lot. Even you are also one of them, where I got into any kind of let's say a confusion or a questions or a middle stuck or something. You always there to to guide me, and a lot of other awesome people. So I that's the reason we say awesome Mozilians who always there for everyone, no matter if you are active or not active. But that is the best part, that you meet like-minded people,
Yes.
right? And that will tell you that what to do or what not to do. I think Mozilla taught me one thing: what not to do. It was the best part. And I always keeping that in mind कि जिंदगी में एक चीज करनी है कि क्या नहीं करना है, किसके साथ काम नहीं करना है, ये पहले डिसाइड करना है. Then you decide to whom with you can work with.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that is the best. But I think when we shared about this, I think that's come out of our stories. You shared your Reddit story. I said my community where I landed to the job. But being participant in the event, conference, and organizing, there will be a lot of stories that I think help other people to okay, this is something amazing, and that we cherish for our whole life. Do you have any stories that it say okay, this is something amazing, or this is something weird that happened, right? In any community that you part, or the in Red at your journey, or in the Mozilla journey, that something went crazy. And I'm sure it's so
Hmm.
many, but if you want to pick up any one or two.
Okay. So I have a lot of stories. Okay. I mean, wherever I've gone, there is a story. But as you mentioned in the introduction, right? You took your first flight to Ahmedabad, and that was me, who was your co-passenger, right? So so just for the audience sake, I mean, so it was like what, 7 in the morning that Mehul came actually from Nashik all over to Pune, because the flight was from Pune to Ahmedabad. It was a direct flight. So this guy turns up at 7. The flight was at, I think it was at 10, right? So it was at 10, and we were supposed to go to the airport. So we left around 7:30, 7:45 from my place. We reached airport. We were waiting for Aman, because I think Aman was also going to join us. And since he was staying close to the airport, he was like, okay, I'll reach around, let's say, 8:45 or 9. So we were that much convinced. So we went there. We were waiting for him, and we were all putting up the Firefox T-shirt. So I had a black T-shirt which had a Firefox logo on it. I think you were also wearing some Firefox goodie, and we had this the Firefox badge which was there,
Yes,
right,
yes,
right
yes.
on our bag. So we were waiting at the check-in counter, and the air hostess or the attendant who was managing our tickets. So she saw the Mozilla logo, right, and she was like, "Okay, do you guys work for Firefox?" Then my instant reaction was, "No, we are volunteers and we are going for an event which is there in Ahmedabad." So I don't know how you will believe or not, as in the audience, but just because of that logo, we got a free upgrade. It was a Spice jet flight which was flying from Pune to Ahmedabad.
It was Go Air.
It was Go Air. Okay, I think, yeah, Spice or Go, something like. But we got a free upgrade from economy to the first class, which Go offers, right? As in Go Air offers. So I think that these were the crazy stories, right? It was you, me, and Aman who were sitting at the first row of the flight.
And I
It
got
was,
the window seat, and you
yeah,
guys are.
because you were flying for the first time, right? So yeah, I mean, crazy stories all around. So yeah,
Yeah, so very and that's what make a difference. And whenever you go, and that's I would say that is a perk being part of community, because you have a lot of stories. And
yes,
whenever you meet the fellow people or fellow community member, we curious to how we'll start conversation. So we don't, लोगों के पास mostly होता है कि बात करने के लिए. We are the people who have a lot of things to talk about
exactly.
because of this. So I think that is one of the best part. But let's say if you are if you are not doing this thing, or let's say if you're not an engineer or not, so if you go back in time and if you want to do something else apart from this role, right, what are you doing right now, what it would be? Don't tell me you're going to be a Marathi actor or something like that. Please don't say, or a stand-up comedian. No.
Okay. Tricky. Okay, so when I did my 12th, I did my 12th standard and appeared for CET. I got the CET score, and that is when I finally decided, okay, I will be going to engineering, IT engineering specific. But when I was choosing that kind of field, and as in whenever I was at a juncture where have to choose something as to be my future career goal, so I chose IT engineering. But back of the mind, I was kind of feeling that I should do something in economics, because I was very much into economics. I would love to read a lot of economy related articles. I still do. I love geopolitics. I like to discuss a couple of things. I kind of browse through a lot of videos every day. So you know if not IT engineering, I could have definitely gone into economics. I would have done my majors in economics. But yeah, I feel like I chose IT for a reason. Whatever happened happens for good. I mean, whatever happens for good. I chose IT engineering. I met you, and I'm talking here. So I don't regret as such. But yeah, I mean, that was a junction in my life that I was studying economics or IT engineering. I'm glad I made the right decision.
Yeah, and I think no one should regret because
Yeah, I mean,
the most, yeah, no, of course, the most important thing, whatever comes, you should attempt 100%.
yes, exactly. You should be very much into that kind of selection, right? So yeah.
Totally. Because when you don't attempt 100%, then it's a regret. When you attempt 100%, then okay. It's okay. I have done my best. Then it's okay. Even if it's happened, not working, that's okay. But even when you not give your 100%, whether it's a personal or professional or any kind of kind of engagement that you are doing, so that should be pretty much necessary. Okay. So one last question that let's say if anyone want to start a contribution in open source, what are your let's say a five advice or five things you advise them? What are the five things?
Five things you want to ask. Okay. So the first thing I think, whatever you're doing, it's not just you who is getting benefited out of it, but a larger chunk of people, as I said, they kind of get benefited out of it. So don't believe that something is happening back to you, or something that you are doing might not have an impact. Definitely, whatever you are doing, whatever actions that you are taking, they are definitely making an impact around. They are helping a lot of people around. So don't ever feel that something is not your worth, or you're not worth for something. So that's the first thing I would say. Second thing is, do what you love what you do, right? It's more about whatever you would like to do or achieve in your life. Let's say as a engineering graduate, you're trying to focus more on what exactly might help you with your future, or where you want to land. Just do what you love. I mean, that I would say, don't ever feel or don't ever regret that something might have been different if you have chosen something. Whatever in life happens, it happens for good. The third thing I would say is, the only constant in life is change. Never try to get comfy with certain things. If let's say that you are good at coding, don't ever feel that I'm only made for coding. You never know that if you are good at coding, there could be other areas that might eventually might be something that you are made of, or you have that potential to do. So you know as I have said, like, the only thing in life is change, as in the only constant in life is change. So try to get out of that comfort zone. Make sure that you are doing a lot of things at the same time and exploring a lot of things. Fourth, I would say that at the end of the day, you know take rest. Don't get overwhelmed in life. There are a lot of things that you have to achieve. I'm sure everyone has a dream or dreams that they have to achieve. But Rome was not built in a day, right? I tell a lot of people. So make sure that you are getting some time for yourself, getting rested, and getting motivated to achieve more. And the fifth thing that I would say to any open source contributor, or anyone who is watching this podcast is, materialistic life is the most dangerous life. I feel like if you are contributing to open source, and if you feel that someone is getting more someone getting more limelight or someone is getting more recognition, don't get demotivated out of that factor. Things will come to you. I would say be patient, but don't compare or don't get into materialistic things. Make sure that whatever you're doing, you're just enjoying things. So yeah.
Yeah, couldn't I totally vouch for this one. And one thing I would like to share, and I would like to end over here, is that the last thing which you mentioned is most important. When because I was in that phase or of one time where I feel so bad because someone got limelight of my work. Because when you start working, you do it in a full, uh, but I realized at that time ki I was feeling bad because I'm having some expectation. So better if you start contributing to any project or any community or anything that you want to do, which you're doing apart from your professional career, right? So I think have zero expectation, because when you have zero expectation, you don't feel bad. And the second most important point, when you have zero expectation and you getting rewarded for you doing, the happiness is on another level, right?
Exactly.
And more good work. So your enthusiasm is going to be doubled. You can see the example, two example in front of you. So we face a lot of things. We brain channel a lot of things, but yeah, the only thing that you learn from this kind of experiences, and that's how turns out. Like in for me, I was a hardcore developer from being a DevOps engineer now totally into the community. So you never know that there is something beyond. We always say, let's say we talk about Firefox a lot today. So we always say ki Mozilla is beyond Firefox. Even in your sense as well, whatever you're doing, you might not know that you have so much potential which is beyond that. So I think this podcast is so much about the learning, and it's going to be motivate a lot of people. And I personally enjoyed a lot because this is very special for me because Prathamesh is very close. You can say he's my bow from the another eye, and I think I can connect to his family as well. We met a lot of time, so I think that is the best part. And as I said, I started my journey. I took my first flight with him, so that was very special for me. And then Prathamesh still have count that how much flight he took. He would you like to say how
I
many?
don't know. That's for some other podcast.
Okay. So don't tell me stop doing that, collecting
No,
the
I
part.
still have it. I still have it.
I still have it. So
Yes.
okay, you're gonna count and you're gonna tell me then. Okay. So this kind of crazy conversation, crazy bond that because with community also you're gonna met with like-minded people, very good friends, which can carry forward even if you're not being active or not part of that. So that is the best part. And the reason I started this podcast to bring those stories on board so that people can see that this sort of thing is happening, and this is what make them happy, and this is what also I think that also convert into their personal or professional life as well, and they're hell of enjoying, they're doing a lot of other awesome things in life. So again, thank you so much, Prathamesh,
Yeah,
for
it was a
giving.
great pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Mehul, for inviting. I enjoyed thoroughly. I definitely I loved it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, man, and thanks everyone for watching, and I'll be coming with a lot of other amazing episodes, so stay tuned. Thank you so much and take care.